Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast. We are live, coming at you from the dank in Newtown. This is the Simpsons Index, episode ? I am your host, Elliot J. O'Neill, and joining me in the dank this week is...
I didn't prep anything. Shit.
It's okay, because this isn't a regular episode of the Simpsons Index. Tonight, we're doing something actually a little different. It's just me and BT in the dank, and we're actually not going to review a Simpsons episode. So
that's what this podcast does.
Yes, normally this is the podcast where we review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time. The catch is each episode comes from a different decade. But tonight, we're actually just going to talk about the index itself. You know, we've done about 108 reviews or something now, and we thought we'd just sort of take this time while we couldn't book another guest this week to just talk amongst ourselves about the index, sort of give a general overview of where we're at with the podcast, roughly a sixth of the way in, God willing that Simpsons get cancelled in season 30. So look, if this is your first episode of the podcast, I'd actually probably recommend tuning out, checking out one of the other ones, because this isn't the usual routine.
No.
This one won't even get an episode number. It's just going to be like the no review special or something in the title.
Nice. And go check out episode 5. That's a fun one. The one before this, I think, is good as well.
Well, yeah, that's one of my topics. So yeah, right off the bat, I've got a bunch of topics written out, and so one of them is our top Simpsons Index podcast episodes. Now, I'm not going to give you the exact numbers, but we've been growing, and it's been sort of astounding, and especially, again, thank you, the guys from Worst Episode Ever, for having me on, because that essentially doubled our listenership, and we've, just been growing since. So, yeah, thank you guys, listeners. If you haven't, go check out Worst Episode Ever. But anyway, our top 3 episodes of the podcast by most downloaded. Number 1 is episode 1, kind of predictably.
Yeah, that's where everyone goes to check out for the first time. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Way to be predictable, everybody.
And, you know, I edit the podcast and then I might listen to it again through the week just to make sure it come out right. Like,
I've listened to absolutely all of them, so...
Yeah?
Every single one.
And it reflects because you're our number 1 fan on our statistics, apparently.
Well, my mum used to be my number 1 fan, but now it's me.
So I have gone back and listened to episode 1 a couple of times just to sort of see where we started, and it's cute.
It's like looking at your baby photos, yeah.
It really is. Like, we didn't go into nearly as much detail as we go to now. Like, I mean, that episode was less than an hour long. Like,
what? Well, now we're connoisseurs.
And now we can't shut up. Like, used to be scared of the mics.
I know. I used to think they'd electrocute me if I leaned in too close. And now I'm all just getting right in there with a microphone.
Oh, yeah, you're eating that mic.
Yep, got its fuzziness on my lips.
Like it was a robotic ice cream cone.
So yeah,
that was our top episode. Number 2 is Treehouse of Horror-thon.
Yes, for the Halloweens.
Yeah, and look, one of my philosophies with this podcast was not to, like, coincide our podcast episode with special days like Valentine's Day or Martin Luther King Day or Christmas or anything like that.
Because who could forget that memorable Martin Luther King Day episode of The Simpsons?
I remember it.
Martin Luther Krusty.
Have you been respecting your peers this year or something was like one of the lines. And like they had a little a Martin Luther King in the mall that you could go sit on his lap and...
Well, that shut me up.
Yeah.
What's next? Lisa, did you know it's Guy Fawkes Day?
Nice. Yeah, so I love Halloween, and
me too.
It's the best holiday of the year. Like,
it's delightful.
So I do regret in the first couple of episodes where I used to let people pick the episodes, and 2 of the ones that got peeled off straight away were Treehouse of Horrors, and I realized after recording those podcasts that we really do need to dedicate a special episode to doing Treehouse of Horror because...
They are their own entity, yeah.
They operate so differently, yeah. And yeah, they are a special event. So yeah, our first Treehouse of Horror-thon, our only other one, and to bring it again to Worst Episode Ever, we're stealing their idea of Mayoween, and there will be another Treehouse of Horror-thon coming up in May.
Oh, yes, can it be for my birthday?
Sure.
Yes. Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, so, and I loved doing that Treehouse of Horror-thon with you, Danny, and Dave.
Yeah, that was good fun.
That also was our first one where we had a 4th panelist as well.
Ah, and yet that's like standard now.
Yeah. More often than not, these episodes are getting done with 4 people. And yeah. And our 3rd most popular episode, rounding out this part of the discussion, was episode 5, mentioned earlier.
I don't even remember. What do we do on that one? Because I know it's great. That's all I remember. I think that's where we hit our stride.
We did Homer's Odyssey, Homer to the Max, and 500 Keys.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, we had an interesting thing where Homer's Odyssey wasn't that great. Homer to the Max was fucking astoundingly hilarious, but, lacking in story structure. And then 500 Keys was a surprise hit of the HD era.
Yeah, I think that's still our highest ranked HD, our latest highest rank.
Yeah, so. It's an equal first. We'll get back to that later, though. But,
okay.
I felt like we really hit our stride with episode 5. Like, especially just, the dynamic with me, you, and Danny. Like, we really didn't feel like we were stumbling.
Yeah, and we're finally no longer noobs, and we're no longer like, a podcast, what's that? Yeah, we kind of we were no longer scared of microphones.
Yeah, and that was also another thing where we were starting to make jokes outside of the episode and, bringing a lot more of ourselves into the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'd like to thank alcohol. It played a big part in that transition.
Well, that's actually another funny thing, because episode 4 and 5 were actually recorded in the same night. 5 right after 4, obviously. So it was like midnight when we started recording that episode, which means we met until like 3 o'clock. We haven't done that much. I think we've only done it like 2 or 3 times.
Mostly because we are really drunk by the time we get to episode 4 and 5 on those.
And lately, like, it's been taking longer to record episodes because now we
talk so much.
We are not afraid of the mics anymore. Yeah, so those are our top 3 episodes so far, and like I think it makes perfect sense. And
check those ones out if you haven't.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the index itself. And going back to the classic era, this is the only era of The Simpsons where, so far in the index, by the way, asterisk, so far in the index, this is the only era that has unanimous cubic zirconias.
Yeah.
And so I haven't bothered writing down like the top 3 episodes of the classic era because it's equal first with like 15 episodes.
That is very fair.
But the bottom 3, number 1 was Homer's Odyssey, which got overall a dull bronze, 2 bronze, and a participant.
That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard episode to love.
It's very...
I think, as we said at the time, it's one where... and from memory, this is one of the ones where there's a really interesting through line for those episodes, because Homer's Odyssey, we talk about how that's building the Simpsons foundation.
Yep.
Homer to the Max is how we're talking about once you've built that foundation, this is something you can just come out and have a one that's completely about jokes and barely has a plot, but who cares because you're having so much fun. Mm-hmm. And that's what you build upon that strong foundation. And then 500 Keys, I think, was one that was representative of, after you've done so well, what's left? It's like, this is probably the best it's going to get after you've hit that high.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it makes an interesting story arc into itself.
Yeah, because if you thought because this is probably the worst episode of season 1, and if you thought this was all season 1 was, it looks like shaky foundation, but really the fact is season 1's mostly good, and this is sort of, I find, an anomaly. And to be fair, the episode had a lot working against it at the time. You know, it's a new show. The writers don't know what they're doing, uncharted territory. Yeah. And the episodes, like the first few episodes, were coming back with really horrendous animation. And this is one that they didn't correct. So there's a lot of like visual faults in this episode too, which are distracting.
Yeah, it's got its faults, but hey, it still scores a bronze. That ain't bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was the one who gave it a participant.
Because you hate that one.
To be fair, I came in swinging, you know. I was like, you guys are going to hate this episode. You don't even remember it. And you were guys like, yeah, it's fine.
It's got its merits. They're not its usual Simpsons merits of hilarity and unbelievably dense jokes, but...
Yeah, but Dull Bronze is a good place because, like, while the Homer killing himself is a bit too heavy for the plot, it's also lightened by the jokes with The Rock and everything.
I still love that.
Yeah, but ultimately, they don't know how to structure it yet. But anyway... the next lowest ranking is Natural Born Kisses from season 9, which got a shiny bronze, silver, and 2 bronzes. This one surprised me because I was the one who gave it a silver, and I was remembering it as a gold, possibly cubic, but it really wasn't as funny as I remembered.
Even now, having reviewed that, I do remember it more fondly than, obviously, I'm assuming I'm one of the bronzes.
Yeah.
So, I guess when you actually sit down and really look at it, it just has all those memorable moments. And I guess at the time it was a very scandalous episode.
Yeah.
You know, Get a bit of nudity in there. What we all came here to see. Hardcore nudity.
And yeah, it totally was groundbreaking at the time, and like part of the Simpsons adults only collection that they had. But ultimately what let it down was the B story that sort of was 3 scenes, and it felt very padding. So Bart and Lisa with the metal detector and the Casablanca.
Yep, which is funny.
But it didn't make sense in the overall arc of the episode.
And yet I remember that bit really fondly. It's one of those things I think back on, you're like, oh, well, there we go. Maybe.
Well, no, I mean, it's great stuff, but yeah.
Hey, bronze ain't bad.
No, and it's
a high bronze.
Yeah, it's doing better than a lot of the episodes from Teens and HD era get. So, and the third lowest is a tie between Treehouse of Horror 7 and Call of the Simpsons, which all got unanimous silver. Call of the Simpson, the RV episode from season 1. Again, season 1, this was like a good episode, but
it just wasn't. They're going better places.
Yeah. And then there's some memorable bits in it, but ultimately it's a bit slower and not as joke heavy.
Yeah, and it only kind of really gets funny towards the end. And other than that, it's all just kind of. It's a good example of the first era Homer, where he's the flawed patriarch.
Yep.
So he's not completely stupid. He means well, but he screws things up, and
he's got a lot of pride, and the car dealership guy is playing that against him and everything.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Those scenes, like as funny as they were, and especially Albert Brooks' delivery, man, he's he's killer. He is so funny, but ultimately those bits, it's just slow. Like
and it's just not a whole lot going into it. I think watching that for the first time would probably be a lot of fun because you don't know where it's going, but in the rewatch, it doesn't have that appeal anymore. Yeah,
and also, I'm sure at the time seeing a baby get along with a family of bears.
And then she gives them the pacifier and they're all like...
Excellent work on the Foley. Treehouse of Horror 7, this is one that, friends I've shown the index, they've sort of had a look at it. Oh, yeah, remember that episode? Yeah, that's a cubic. Wait, why have you given Treehouse of Horror 7 a silver?
Which one's 7? Remind me.
So, you weren't there for this one. This was me and Shayna and Jordan, and this one was the Genesis tub. It was Citizen Kang, and what's the other one? Oh, Hugo, Bart's twin.
Well, there you go, because Hugo is like a bronze story at best.
Yeah.
Genesis Hub is probably a silverish, and Citizen Kang is gold. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
But that all evens out to a silver.
Yeah, and it was surprising because this wasn't done in the Treehouse of Horror-thon. This was... back when I didn't know any better that I should keep the Treehouse of Horror separate, whatever. But in watching back, I was surprised. The Hugo bit wasn't as memorable and didn't have as many jokes as I thought. Genesis Tub was surprisingly slow, and a Treehouse of Horror segment should not feel slow.
No, I mean, it's a third of an episode. You gotta go.
Yeah. And it felt draggy for a 7-minute plot. And then, Citizen Kang, totally brilliant, but it's got very specific references to the 1998 election. Like,
we also have concerns about how you and your opponent are constantly holding hands.
We're merely exchanging protein strains. If you can think of a better way, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, and you got that, and I think we've all said before, don't blame me, I voted for Kodos.
Yeah, like fortunately politics are so alien and fucked up that this can apply even if you don't know who Bob Dole and Bill Clinton are.
Yeah.
And when you find out, and then you find out the thing about the pen, you go back and you appreciate it for another different level. But ultimately, like, it was a surprisingly weak Treehouse, and especially coming from season 8, you wouldn't think, but yeah.
But hey, that's fine. Silver is still good.
So Homer's Odyssey was the only one to get a participant ranking at all.
Oof.
There's only a couple of silvers and everything else is just golden cubic. I think maybe I need to start purposefully watching some more forgettable episodes.
From that era?
Yeah.
It's fair enough. We should probably do that.
Because it feels like I'm running out, but then other times it's like, fuck, there is just so much greatness. We've still got so much greatness ahead.
And this is why it's, such a loved show.
Yeah.
This is why people make podcasts about it, for fuck's sake.
But there's no failures at all that have been ranked in the classic era from us. But
nope.
I think that might change when we get to like the clip shows. But
I don't think anyone's going to fail a clip show. It might not be as much fun, but
yeah,
we'll see. Obviously, we'll see. It will be hard to rank a clip show because it's such an odd entity.
But I mean, it's going to be a while off anyway because I feel like we've got to earn the clip shows.
We've got to see all the episodes they reference.
Yeah, actually, that's probably how I should do it. Make a list of the, people have already made that list for me, so
Thanks, people.
let's go cross-reference that. All right, let's talk about the awkward teen. So the highest rated episode from that episode is an equal first place with 3 episodes, with 2 cubics and gold for I'm with Cupid and Little Big Mum, and 2 cubics and a gold for HOMR.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
I think I'm like the negative on all those.
Negative?
I know. Oh, I know.
You might on the gold side of
Yeah. So compared to the 2 hyper positives, I'm the one. Well, I didn't think that was such a good.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm actually surprised I'm with Cupid got this high, because I thought for as good as the story was and as funny as some of the jokes, I thought it was a bit derpy. Like,
This is the one where Homer and Apu is having the
Elton John.
Elton John. Yeah. Did I cubic that or was that you?
I'm pretty sure it was Danny and Claire who cubicked it.
Ah, that's right. We have 4s there. Yeah, and I think you and I golded.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those ones I don't want to fight them on because I don't disagree that strongly. It's still a lot of fun. And I think Claire had the point of she just loved it every single time she saw it. It always clicked with her. So that's fair enough. You can have that. Yeah, no, it's good. It is great. It's a lot of fun. It's hilarious.
And there are, like, uproariously hilarious moments, like absolute gut busters. Like, I think that's actually what all these 3 have in common. And Little Big Mum as well, like, and this is a surprise because this is the Marge breaks her leg at the ski lodge one and Lisa takes over, where each act is a different story, but it is fucking hilarious throughout.
It is great throughout, and I think this is one of those ones where Act 1 I gave a cubic, Act 2 I gave a gold, and Act 3 I gave a silver. Because I do feel the ending is weak on that one. It's just they end up at a leper colony and electric needle room. It's kind of funny, but compared to where it started with the snowfields and back away, not the day, disco lady.
Stupid sexy Flanders.
And stupid sexy Flanders, come on.
And I mean, I criticize The Simpsons often for operating like a sketch show these days with these characters, and this is one where they were definitely doing that, but
it works so damn well.
Yeah, and I think I fell on the cubic side of that, and I wouldn't fight the gold one because I get it, like the story's like not there, like, but it's too good to care.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
And HOMR, which we watched in the first episode
Very
of the
early
podcast,
on. where Homer finds out there's a crown in his brain.
Yeah, and like. I really do love this one. For a long time I was saying I think this might be my favorite episode of The Simpsons for the reason that it perfectly marries the old style of the show, the storytelling, the heart, and then what it becomes with more joke-based humor.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd rank it cubic again in a rewatch.
Ooh. You come around to my way of thinking, because I know I was the one who was in the room who was the gold.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, because there wasn't actually as much heart as I remembered there being.
There is, but it's what is really nice.
Yeah.
There's that great little appreciation between Homer and Lisa, and he writes that really nice note at the end. Yeah, what's there is really sweet, but
it just would have been nicer if they expanded on it and maybe took away some of the time from the anime parody and the claymation Davy and Goliath.
Yeah, that's weird. I built a pipe bomb to blow up Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just blows up, and Rod and Todd are like, yay!
Yeah, it's just like, it's a bit much, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, I really love HOMR. And,
it's a great episode.
And also because it's such a derpy concept, but they totally pull it off. And
yeah, I mean, they do have that great joke. Well, it's stupid, but it lands really well where Hibbert's like, Homer's like, well, I've had hundreds of x-rays in my brain. Why haven't we ever caught this? Hibbert just walks in, I'll field that one. See, I hold it like this, and I always put my thumb over the crayon. I'll just leave now. I was like, that should annoy me so much more than it does, but for some reason it works there. Maybe because that was the first time they pulled that, or just the delivery. I find you can get away with a lot with a solid delivery, so, this is why Family Guy's still on.
Yeah.
Because they, even when they're bad jokes, they deliver them in such a way that you're like, ha, wait, that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. All those non-jerks, totally. So that was the top of the awkward teens, and now the reason why we call them the awkward teens, because they've got a fair share of bad episodes as well.
And what were some of those bad episodes, AJ and Neil?
Okay, so our worst episodes were all unanimous failures.
Nice.
Not in any order besides earliest to latest.
And failureinest.
Future Drama.
Yes.
Sucked. Yeah,
Flash forward episode where Marge and Homer break up and Homer lives underwater, and it's stupid.
Again, it's just why break them up and not do anything good with it?
Yeah.
Like,
It was like,
Homer was being jerk-ass, he deserved it, and she just reconciles for no reason. And Gender, Bart's girlfriend, kept changing her motivations for...
man.
It was a mess, and Milhouse roided up and...
Yeah, which is weirdly a theme, because that shows up in a few future flash
Showed up in
forwards.
Barthood, yeah.
Where he's a gym junkie roider.
Yeah.
But, all right, fine.
And Christian. So yeah, that was terrible. Also, at number 2, the Italian Bob.
Fuck you episode.
Yep.
Although not as much as I used to hate you. So,
No, it has been eclipsed.
It's a mild fuck you. Actually,
Yeah.
no, it's a, like medium fuck you. Not the spicy kind. We're getting there.
But it's painful in its execution. Like,
Yeah.
it is just going from set piece to set piece to set piece, and again, name dropping worst episode ever. I think that might be the theme of this episode.
Yeah, this is the episode you recommended for worst episode ever to review. They hadn't seen it before, and they really echoed a lot of our sentiments, which is really cool because it's like, okay, it's not just us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah, they even said, at the beginning, I'm like, hey, this isn't a bad one. It's not too, and then by the end, just like, fuck.
by
off.
the end, you're yelling at the TV.
Yeah.
Like,
Although, but we both like the same joke of Sideshow Bob trying to correct the pronunciation of Italian people's Italian. That I liked.
Absolutely. But yeah, the way the Sideshow Bob's reveal, and he's wearing the prison clothes on it, it's just terrible.
Which he had been doing for years for no reason, and just all of it doesn't work, and it's stupid, and
yeah. But I mean, if you're wondering why I, reviewed this episode for our Sideshow Bobathon in episode 19, and then would want to do it again for worst episode ever, like,
people have to know.
Yeah.
And this is a public service.
But yeah, I mean, I wanted to suggest an episode that we'd done on the show before, so I can give a plug while I'm on their show, where we did it, and one that I knew was a failure and had good chance of being one of their worst episodes. And,
And I think it's like 5th for them at the moment or something like that.
10th to 15th, I want to say.
Okay.
It definitely ranked low, but it was brought up because, again, production values were actually good in that episode. Like, Kelsey Grammer's delivery of his terrible lines were terrible, but his singing is great, and
it's Kelsey.
all the animation looked beautiful, like the aqueducts. Like, even though there wasn't any great material around it,
That
the
was
production...
a dumb fucking joke, but yeah, I guess it looked okay. But then you got Krusty singing about Rice Krispies. Yeah.
So painful.
Yeah, a lot of pain in that one.
And the other unanimous failure from the Awkward Teens was Little Big Girl, another episode that you weren't there for. So I don't know if you watch all the episodes.
The one where Lisa is doing a family tree and wants to be part Native American, and is the Hitachi tribe she gets from a microwave.
And Bart gets engaged to a pregnant teenager.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's awful because... the characters do awful things and they don't get any comeuppance for it. Like, Lisa just appropriates someone else's culture and gets no negative repercussions.
Well, just even for Lisa, is like just cheats on a.
Yeah.
Like, that's not Lisa. She doesn't cheat unless she really has to. Like, if she's been playing video games all week and hasn't studied The Wind in the Willows.
That's right. And that's it. And there was no desperation to it. It was literally like the episode started out. She's at the kitchen table. Ooh, what should I do for my family tree? My family tree's boring. Looks at a microwave. Ooh, I can be from the Hitachi tribe. Yeah. And then looks at the curtains and then steals the corn curtains. And then like...
Would have made a lot more sense to be Bart because he would have half-assed it and then like snowballed. That would have been fine. But for Lisa, no. You expect more.
No. And I think the only bits about this episode that I liked was... Yeah, Bart accidentally saving the town from a fire by having a fire hydrant-powered office chair that puts out a fire.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so he gets a license, and then which starts the other good line. He's giving Lisa a lift somewhere, and Lisa goes, your hand should be at 10 and 2, not 3 and nothing.
Yep. I do remember that. That's a good line.
But otherwise, horrible, horrible episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And... talking about the HD era, the highest rated eps, the aforementioned 500 keys, which got a silver, bronze. I would have liked to seen it a bit higher, but I get it.
Yeah, it is. Well, as we said, it's the best. I think the HD era has gotten. It's a fun, cute episode. Some logical leaps required. Some bits you feel a little bit awkward when you stop and think about them. This is the one where the Simpsons have a box full of keys and that open up various doors to mystery and adventure. And we find out the school tried to pull off some scam where they had a fake classroom, and then...
So that's like Lisa's story, and then Homer's story is he finds a key to the Duff blimp, and he goes on a massive blimp.
Yeah, and you've got, good bits where Bart's trying to pull all this mischief with these keys, but keeps doing good by accident.
Yep.
And, you've got the Pooter Toot.
Pooter Toot Express. Hashtag Pooter Toot.
Look it up if you don't know. You may be offended by its mild tastelessness. I don't know.
That was like a meme for some of our early podcasts.
Yeah, well, just back when we used to live in the same house, it was just a meme for our house for a while.
Oh, absolutely. And wow, tasteless. It's so good. Worth the price of admission, but ultimately the episode has a stupid ending with the whole unraveling of the conspiracy. It doesn't make sense. And
and you find out Otto's been living with the fact that he thinks he killed 30 children for all these years, and it's like...
Nelson too. Nelson thinks 32 children died.
Yeah, and it's like, that's a lot to weigh on these people.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And, ultimately fun though.
And so with equal first, the Nedliest catch.
Okay.
Which almost... because this one got 3 silvers and a bronze, and...
Yeah, and the reason it got the bronze was specifically because it throws to the... so this is the episode where Ned and Edna start dating, and at the end it throws to a, what do you think we should do, audience?
Yeah.
Vote online whether they should stay together or not. It was just such a cop-out ending.
It was. And you can hear it in the podcast. I go to rank it gold, and then one of you says internet ending, and I'm like, you're right, I can't rank it gold for that.
I gave it a silver despite that ending because it's a good episode, and you get why they pulled that internet thing.
Yeah.
They've been on the air for so long, they're trying to do something new, get the fans involved. I get it. It's just, it was irritating.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was. And...
Because it was a good story up until that point. And you really wanted to see where it goes. And it's like, it's going to be whatever the internet wants it to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, really good pacing, but it was one of those things where they felt like they were ramping up the conflict right at where you're like, this episode, is this going to be a double episode? And then, they do the cop-out ending. And it's also underdone by the season 23 premiere, which isn't about Ned and Edna. It's about
you just find out the result.
Yeah, but they keep peppering references to it like through the episode. And it's not even done in a clever way, like Cartman's mum is still a slut. Remember that episode where they're trying to figure out who Cartman's father is? Like,
yep.
It just felt arrogant and smug.
But so, you do have, I know we've come to really love the guy chewing his own beard.
Oh, I've shared that on Twitter from the Simpsons Index like 3 times now.
It's great.
And I will again after this episode airs, just in case you missed it. So those are the equal first, and there's a lot of equal second, so I won't go into equal third, but in equal second, we'll just blitz through because there's 4 of them.
Yep.
No Loan Again Naturally, the one where
Ned
becomes the landlord. Yeah.
Yep. I don't remember much, but I remember not hating it.
Yeah, I mean, these are all shiny bronze, so one that you and Danny gave bronze and I gave silver because I'm that guy.
You're that guy.
The book job as well, which I thought would do way better with you guys, actually.
I think you golded and Danny and I bronzed or silvered.
No, I silvered. Again, I tend to give silver to these episodes which have a good concept and good jokes, but something just falls flat.
Yeah, I think you and I silvered and Danny bronzed. Or participated, I'm not sure.
You and Danny bronze, I silvered.
I did it? Okay, I thought I silvered that one.
Oh. Well, these are all shiny bronzes, so yeah.
I feel dumb. I thought I silvered that one. All right. No, hey, I'm trusting previous me.
Yeah.
That guy knows what he's talking about.
Well, it does have story issues.
But I love the ending.
Yeah.
I can't even read.
And knowing that it's like actual Neil Gaiman as well.
Yeah, who seems to be A, having a lot of fun, and B, just taking the piss out of himself the entire time. Yeah,
because as the most qualified literary genius amongst their little mob group, he is the most inept and useless in the group.
He's just the whipping boy.
I laminated the menus.
Yeah, no, that's the way it should be with guests.
And it's rare that they give guests that are playing themselves in the episode such self-deprecating material. Like,
Yeah.
I guess, Neil must have just been really down for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Must have been like, yeah, sure, just make fun of it. I don't care. I'm Neil fucking Gaiman.
yeah. You don't go around life with a last name like Gaiman and don't have a sense of humor
That's
about
true.
yourself.
He probably got beat up a fair amount. Like that, he probably just looks at his life and go, well, I'm a highly awarded, successful author. I'm married to Amanda fucking Palmer. Whatever you say is not going to make my life worse, so say whatever you want.
Mic drop.
I know, so,
oh, wait, no, it's Neil Gaiman, like pen drop.
No,
Typewriter drop.
Neil Gaiman, he dropped the mic, but it would kind of hover in a black mist.
Bart Hood was also another silver bronze.
Yeah, I remember Bart Hood pretty good, without having seen Boyhood, so I don't know how well the reference goes. But
yeah, I think I actually like how it told the story more than I liked the
story
episode.
itself.
So,
yeah, that's right. When you get a really nice Bart Grandpa connection, and that's really cool.
Which is not even a theme that I noticed until doing this podcast. Between this and the Hellfish and a few other episodes, they really do have a relationship. And in Bart Hood as well, like that. It did not once have the Simpsons as the ages that we knew them as well. It was all about how they progressed through life outside of the times when Bart was 10, Lisa was 8. And the other one was There Will Be Buds, which was a bronze, silver, which is surprising, like especially season 28.
Remind me?
Oh, this is the lacrosse rice sandwich.
Oh, right. I was getting that confused with Friend with Benefit.
Oh, yeah. But the worst eps, and we'll have to express through that because there's a lot, and these are all unanimous failures. Devil Wears Nada.
Yep, sucks.
Fucking terrible. Blue and the Grey, again, another one you weren't there before. And it's actually an episode with a few funny bits, but it's just horrible to Marge. Like, you can't... You'd give it a participant for actually the episode itself, but you fail it because of how mean it is.
Yeah, and how shitty you feel about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and which is the same with Devil Wears Nada, how it's like Marge is a slut and they're slut-shaming her, but all of a sudden she's into it, but then she wants to fuck Homer and he's not horny, and...
That was weird. I completely forgot that entire side of things.
Oh, it was bad. Mo goes from rags to riches.
Yeah, the great story of Mo's dish rag. We've always wanted to hear that.
And with the shoehorned in Milhouse and Bart fight, which has nothing to do with an episode that's doing, like, a rag's journey through time.
Yeah.
Like,
and isn't the rag Jeremy Irons as well?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jeremy's Iron.
What to Expect When Bart's Expecting also got a unanimous failure from us.
So bad.
We reference it all the time.
I know. I like that one held the rank of worst episode ever for us for about 3 weeks.
Yeah. Like, and still... Part of me thinks that it's worse than Gaga, but also, like, I agree that Gaga is the worst we've seen so far.
It is one of those things where I kind of want to watch them again just to compare them, but also, why would I do that to myself?
No, because, like, I mean, Bart's Expecting, I enjoy that in, like, oh my god, this is so bad. It's so bad it comes around to being good, because then watching it a second time with you guys, got to seeing your reactions as each plot point unfolded.
Yeah, for you... That episode, us watching that episode, for you was like Two Girls, One Cup. Watching a reaction to it. You bastard.
Musk Who Fell to Earth as well, which, like, is only slightly better than Gaga. Like, and it has a lot of the same problems.
Has all the same problems. I don't remember it being as offensively bad. It was just boring and ass-kissing.
Yeah.
So... Whereas Gaga's just...
And that's the other thing. But for all its faults, What to Expect When Bart's Expecting has really fast plot. So it moves through shit quickly, even if it's bad and painful to watch. Gaga and the Musk episode are just... They're dragging nails on a chalkboard.
Just keep going, because I know it's the one you're going to reference soon, and then we can dig into it properly.
Also, we reviewed and ranked a unanimous failure for Lisa Goes Gaga.
And I think this is unanimously voted the worst episode we have reviewed so far.
Yeah.
It's just boring and offensively stupid at points, and just so much of it doesn't make sense. It's annoying. Like, you've got that bit with Marge and Gaga at the table where Marge has this beautiful moment of saying, I don't know what to do about Lisa. She's such an advanced, special person that
and I don't like her interests. And
yeah, and I don't like her interests, and I try so hard, but she's so smart. And you get this real tender moment from Marge where it feels like, yeah, pretty soon Lisa's intelligence is going to eclipse you, and you're not going to be able to help your own daughter anymore. And how terrible must that feel as a person? To which Gaga just kisses her. And it's like, what? And not only that, it went from like trying to hold her hand, and Marge is like, no, stop.
Yeah, I've got sudden fear of people touching me, I guess.
It's like, yeah, so if something, and that's like, oh yeah, so if Marge doesn't like you holding her hand, you better just make out with her. And it's like, that is just, it's such dumb ratings grabbing bullshit.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh yeah, lesbian kiss between Marge and Lady Gaga, you better watch this episode. And it's like, no, it's fucking terrible.
No, and it was tantalizing back in the 90s, but, once internet, I mean, fuck it. You see lesbians all the time. It's not
that's just
so unnecessary.
I remember when Britney Spears and Madonna had a kiss, and it was like, oh, so controversial, and oh my God, it's so hot. You watch it and like, that is the most boring thing I've seen live on stage in the middle of a pop concert ever. Like, the amount of hype for this, it's like a peck. It's boring. It's stupid. It's ratings grabby nonsense.
Makes twerking look like hardcore pornography.
Yeah, it's just... Are we done complaining about that episode? Because I'm not.
Well, we tend to complain about that episode a lot because it is our basis of comparison for worst episode.
Yeah, when I talk about hell in The Simpsons, that's what I'm talking about. So.
And I would be surprised at this point because, off the top of my head, I don't think I can think of a worse one.
I'm looking forward to finding out. But one day maybe I will watch What to Expect When Bart's Expecting and Lisa Goes Gaga back to back just to really dig in and feel like which one I hate more.
Yeah.
But for the moment, Lisa Goes Gaga.
Yeah. Treehouse of Horror 26 also ranked up there.
I think I remember this one. Is that the one where...
I remember the Chronicle parody.
Oh, yeah, the weird Chronicle parody.
The one where... The Godzilla one.
Yeah, it isn't the one where Sideshow Bob clones Bart and kills Bart constantly.
Yes.
Yes,
it is.
Was already done in an Itchy and Scratchy episode, in a better episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, and the best thing you can take away from it is when at the end Bob is got a chicken body, and that was from another Treehouse of Horror where Homer has a chicken body.
The best part of that is to build the machine, you see Bob rating the science lab and then rating the engineering lab, and then he's walking out of the dark arts lab and he's like a little drunk. He's like, those guys know how to party.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that bit's cute. And then the rest of it can go fuck itself.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Chronicle parody was boring and I still need to watch the movie.
It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad.
Well, yeah, because I'm actually a fan of Max Landis. I mean, he's he shoots his mouth off a bit, but I think he has a really good sensibility. And I haven't even seen American Ultra yet either. And that's meant to be a pretty good one.
I've heard mixed things.
Yeah. And finally, from our unanimous failures from the HD era is Monty Burns' Fleeing Circus, which me and you reviewed for our only episode to have a single review.
Yeah, well, it was...
It deserved that ceremony.
Yeah, I'm struggling to remember it now. I remember he gets like an amphitheater, but for some reason he failed there as a kid and then wants to something, and it's dumb.
And either Sherry or Terry dies.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They drown one of them in a tank for the purpose of a magic illusion.
Yep, you see the body. That's dead.
Yeah.
Dead.
It was probably one that I would have given a participant, but it was painfully boring. It was just that side of painful.
Yeah, I do not remember that one fondly.
Yeah. So with the categories, we rank on our 6-point scale, the cubic, the gold, the silver, the bronze, the participant, and then sometimes the failure. We'll go through 23 episodes in cubic zirconia. That equates to 21% of the episodes so far we've watched.
You can watch a whole season of the best of the best.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, season, roughly 22 episodes. So yeah, so far in our reviewing, we've reviewed one season worth of stuff that we say you cannot watch The Simpsons and not watch this stuff.
Check it out.
So, and gold, there's 17 episodes in there, it equates to about 16%. Yeah, the excellent episodes which are just shy for whatever reason.
Yeah, there's a lot out there where it's good and there's nothing you really point out as a problem, but it just didn't quite get to the grade.
Yeah, and this is where episodes like Homer to the Max land. Yeah.
I maintain Homer to the Max is a cubic zirconia.
Oh, you ranked that a gold in the review. That was
no, I guess I'm pretty sure it was a zirconia at that. I feel like I did.
No, Homer to the Max got 2 golds and a silver.
Yeah. I thought I cubicked, but okay.
Yeah, that's right. And Danny silvered it, and then there was you guys arguing in it about the foundation versus the...
But what did I give it? I give it gold? Or?
Gold.
Okay. I'm wrong then. Being wrong on the Simpsons index.
Well, yeah, we'll talk...
I'm wrong now. I'm going to trust Past Me, because Past Me knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that's it. We're sort of at the whim of the moment on the night. This isn't an exact science where...
It's television, damn it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to do it in this way with the categories so that it's not a specific number because also, like, I've noticed with every review site, and I mean, I love reading TV reviews and shit like that, but I feel like a 10-point scale or a 100% scale from 0 to 1 isn't actually exact because I don't find reviewers actually have a good grasp on the sliding scale between 5 and 1. Like, yeah,
it's much harder to place that. And then you get a lot of people who don't understand it in terms of reading it. I mean, there's a lot of fury out on the internet when they give it, like, a video game an 8 out of 10 instead of a 10 or a 9. It's like, that's still a good score.
Yeah. And I think generally if you're going to give it a high ranking, that's sort of more indicating more of a universal appeal. And I've given episodes that I've otherwise loved, except that I don't think it's...
You have to be into something specific to really get as much out of it.
Yeah, and when Simpsons do specific parodies of specific things and maybe it required a bit of prior knowledge or something,
specialized knowledge.
So silver is our least populated category with only 12 episodes getting an overall silver.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before, that silver is this anomaly where it's just a weird step between the bronze and the gold. For some reason, a lot like you were just saying, it's uncharted for a lot of reviewers between 1 and 5, what belongs there. For us, it's, what belongs between a bronze and a gold,
Yeah, because I think if it was like doing the conversion to a sliding 10-point scale, this would be your 7s. And
I was going to, if you're converting this to numbers, I'd say failures are 1 to 2, participants are 3 to 4, bronze is going to be a 5, 6, silver's a 7, 8, gold's a 9, and cubic's a 10. Yeah.
It feels like you can get a bit more exact between 8 and 10 rather than below that. Bringing us to bronze, which has also got 23 episodes in the overall ranking, equal with Cubic Zirconia.
Interesting.
Yeah. But bronze is also another weird category where it's also got the most divisive opinions in it because this is all the shiny bronze, dull bronze, and bronze in between, whereas Cubic Zirconia, it's either unanimous or slightly less.
Yeah.
Whereas bronze has got like a variety of opinion going on in that one.
Right, I think it's because that's when you're skirting a participant where it's like, I could never watch this again and not miss it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of episodes which are dull bronze, which means it's got a participant in there, which means our panelists were divided whether or not they'd watch it again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But it's an interesting ranking, and by no means bad episodes, but
just short.
Yeah. Participant has got 17 in it.
No, I thought we would have had more, but okay.
And failure has 16.
All right.
Which is sort of refreshing to know because you could look at this and say, okay, statistically, 31% of the episodes are participant and failure. So that's about a third of episodes that you're going to get from The Simpsons are bad. That's not bad odds.
No.
But the truth is, I format this podcast so we generally watch a great, a mediocre, and a bad episode. So... I worry that I might have burnt up too many of the good HD ones already.
Well, we have talked before that we know there's a lot in the Awkward Teens where we've dubbed it the wasteland, where there's just nothing good for season on season. That we're thinking of marathoning for a very special episode.
Yeah, no, if we just like did a disc of season 17, I'd just like to rip off that Band-Aid because
I'm game.
Like. The movie seasons are by far the worst. Like, I feel like there's more forgettable episodes in the HD era, whereas 15 to 18 had really offensively bad episodes.
Yeah. As we've discovered.
Yeah. Like Codependence Day and Marge versus Scattertag and...
You remembered the acronym.
Approximation.
Okay.
And Little Big Girl and so many of those other ones. They're painful, and it's only just after like the show's sort of doing more of a sketch feel, and it's just totally lost its way while they're divided between the movie and the show.
Yep. Sad.
So, the future of the podcast, we had our competition recently that was someone solved our Mystery of the 11.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Mystery of the 11, that sounds great.
Yeah, where just by accident didn't cover a single episode 11 from any season. Didn't notice it until like episode 22 of the podcast, I want to say. So I built a whole conspiracy around it to tie into our competition, and someone figured it out within 4 days of trying.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Also, I want to now read Harry Potter and the Mystery of the 11. Or Indiana Jones and the Mystery of the 11.
So those episodes are back on the cards. Just to be an asshole, I'm not going to purposely pick an episode 11, but if someone suggested in the competition now, I'm not going to exclude it for reasons that it's an 11 anymore.
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah. So just going to keep it up for a little while longer. But people were asking sort of about some of the other episodes, why we've said they're not on the cards. Well, the Treehouser ones now are because I want to save them for Mayoween and Halloween. But we got plans for episode 100 to do literally in The Simpsons episode 100, 300, 500. And then for episode 200 of the podcast, we're going to do 200, 400, and 600. And then in episode 138, we're going to do the episode 138th episode Spectacular.
Yep.
So later on this year, we're planning a 2-part special coming up where we'll do Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 1 and 2. We'll also do... I feel like Maud Dies had a bit of a Part 1 and Part 2 going on where you get the episode where Maud dies and then the episode about Praiseland. I always felt like they were two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there's the future Xmas time jump duology. Where, it's a future story told with Bart and Lisa's kids on Christmas, and there's 2 of those in
I've not seen those.
season 23 and 24. They're mediocre to okay.
We'll see what they are.
Yeah.
It's what we do here.
And so, we got that planned, and another 2-part special where we'll do the 2 episodes with Homer's brother Herb, and there were also pretty much a 2-parter with the Vegas Wives.
Yep.
And also The Great Fatsby, the hour-long episode, which I was like, well, isn't that one episode? But no, Simpsons have said it's episodes 12 and 13, so we will do it, treat it as if it's a 2-parter.
All right.
Yeah, and the movie special, I want to do that at some point as well, where we do Camp Krusty, which was originally meant to be the Simpsons movie until they just put it in an episode. The Simpsons movie, of course, and then The Man Who Came to Be Dinner, the fantastical space story that they were going to make into the Simpsons movie sequel until they realized that was a fucking bad idea. But they still did the episode, which was a fucking bad idea.
Where they meet Kang and Kodos, and it's not a Halloween episode?
Not a Halloween, totally canon. They go to space and jump the shark at the same time somehow.
Well, to be fair, if they're in space, they're jumping over all the sharks.
Yeah.
And all the other animals.
And finally, another special I've got planned is our final episode of the podcast where, God willing, The Simpsons only go to season 30, which is my prediction at this stage.
It does feel like time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
30 years is amazing.
Well, the fact that none of the main, 6 voice actors have died. I mean, they've lost Lunch Lady Doris, Marsha Wallace, the
Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Yeah,
I know he's not.
Didn't know it's a voice, but
I know it's a bit. They were never popular.
And people that are dropping like flies now. So my prediction is they'll do season 30, they'll get to 650 episodes, and they'll say, you know what, those are some nice round numbers that we can
wrap on.
And hopefully just from that we can forget about how much we've been diluting the waters for the last half of the run.
30 years is an amazing achievement, no matter what you're doing. I didn't even plan to work that long. So.
Yeah. And imagine at the one job. Well, I guess that's why a lot of the staff writers left.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the voice cast must still like it. I mean, I know at one point they were going to cancel The Simpsons, but they all took a pay cut so it could stay on.
That's right.
So
Futurama as well.
Yeah.
Similar thing.
Obviously they love doing it.
And Harry Shearer threatened to quit, and it was said that he'd quit the show, and The Simpsons came out and they said they were going to replace him absolutely with a new person.
Really?
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. All right, I have to pee, so we're going to take a quick break now.
Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it.
And we're back, and that was a good pee break. I rated it gold.
Yeah, I concur. could be better, but it was still great.
Didn't have to pass a gallstone this time.
Yeah. So listeners out there, if you haven't, peeing. Give it a try.
We recommend it.
The Simpsons Index recommends peeing.
I bravely endorse this
Yeah,
product.
I wholeheartly embrace this event or product.
They told me not to say it, but damn it,
I will shell out for peeing.
because it's true.
Yeah.
All right, so we get lots of fan mail in the Simpsons Index.
Fan tweets.
No, mail.
Mail?
People write on paper and put it in envelopes, stamp it, and send it to Australia.
That is astonishing.
It is. Like, in a day where basically you can do these, like, mails on your phone.
Yeah.
What was it? The Twitter you were saying before.
Yeah, or the electronic mails.
So, yeah, we got lots of fan mail for this show, and this first letter comes from Professor Lawrence Pierce of the University of Chicago, and he writes, "Why don't you guys talk about the couch and the chalkboard gags?"
Oh, interesting. Elliot, you've mentioned this before. Why don't you field that one?
Well, okay, first of all, there's plenty of resources online to find what the couch and chalkboard gags for any given episode, and generally they're not worth mentioning. Like, for instance, the season 1 ones, there's like 2 of them where they don't actually have a gag, and one of them where they just sort of squeeze Homer out, and like, what are we going to say each time? Like,
Yeah, unless it's particularly remarkable or, particularly bad.
Yeah.
I'm thinking specifically of the Hobbit one where it's a good bit, but it just goes on way too long.
Well, when it goes over a minute and a half, it then intrinsically becomes part of the episode.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll mention it if it's interesting or important, or if there's a guest director or something like that.
Yeah. And, sort of we'll mention the chalkboard gags when they're a bit more meta, fourth wall breaking, like where they're trying to make a social statement at the time rather than making an in-joke. Because you can find the information anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you can Wikipedia that, but you cannot Wikipedia whether or not it's worth a cubic zirconia.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, this is more of an opinions podcast rather than going through the trivia.
And my, do we have a lot of those.
Well, and I mean, the other thing is I didn't want to focus on doing trivia because compiling trivia for the later episodes is significantly harder than it is compiling trivia for the early episodes.
Yeah, there are a lot of strange episodes in some. Strange references in some of these episodes.
Yeah, and the fact is, like, a lot of these episodes do become hard to research and plan the trivia for because, yeah, they're newer episodes. There's no DVD commentaries or people haven't done the extensive studying like they have than the classic era. And the last thing I'll say about the whole why we don't cover the couch and chalkboard gags is because the intros for the HD era episodes are now crammed with recurring gags. I watched a few intro sequences before doing this episode tonight just to give you an idea of all the jokes they're making. Okay, there's usually a joke with the clouds and the Simpsons.
Something flies by, yep.
Something flies by. There's a gag there. Ralph sometimes says something different every time the Jebediah head falls on him. There's a billboard before they go into school. Then there's the chalkboard gag. And then Barney also sometimes says a variety of phrases when Bart lands his skateboard on him. Sometimes there's also power plant or supermarket variants. Not often, but
Every now and then.
Every now and then. Lisa basically plays a different instrument on each HD era episode, whereas before it'd just be the saxophone and variations on the Simpsons theme, like just sax solo break. Now it's like she'll run around with a trumpet or a harp or a fucking flute or something.
Yeah.
And then, the sweep of the town, and then finally the couch gag. Like, that's a lot of recurring gags to cover.
It's a lot of stuff that's essentially inconsequential. Because unless it contributes to the make or break of the episode, which is what we're here for, then, whatever. We don't need it.
Yeah, totally. All right, next letter. Dr. Linus Irving of the Sloan Kettling Memorial Institute asks, I don't agree with some of your rankings. Will you ever re-review some episodes?
In one very rare instance when we were both too drunk to be coherent, we are planning to redo the Springfield episode, but
we haven't released that, though.
I know. Because we're both too drunk. I know I am. Yeah,
I haven't gone back. We have some unaired minis that we recorded back in the day, but around the time when we did release the Call of the Simpsons Mobile Homer duology of Just Me and You, it sort of occurred to me at that point that the spreadsheet looks weird with so many just duo rankings. So just from an aesthetic point of view, I don't want to really do duo episodes. And
Yeah.
we have some unaired ones, which we may release, we may re-record. I don't know yet.
I'd like to remember it. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I might do a cut of the episodes and sort of have us listen to it and see if we want to do it again. Because, like, the other two we did, the Michael Cera as Ernest Hemingway guy one, and then the Sky Police, which turned into a parody of the movie 21.
Yeah.
They were such middle-of-the-road participant episodes that, like...
I don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
There's nothing to review.
Yeah, there really isn't. It'd really just be better to go, you know what, the spreadsheet's going to look weird for those ones, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, is there anything any episodes you feel you were a little harsh on or a little lazy on and want to revisit?
Well, here's the thing. I hate fucking when people say here's the thing. It's just, I always picture them presenting the thing.
Here is the thing.
Yeah.
I like that phrasing. I'm going to use that.
Here it is.
And they just hold up a little action figure of the thing.
Yeah. So, as far as re-reviewing episodes go, look, I don't think the episode overall ranking is wrong on any episode by an error of, say, one ranking. Like, I'd say there's a margin of error maybe by one ranking. You know, we were talking about I'm with Cupid before, where we were both gold, and it's a dull cubic because of the other two people who voted cubic, and I'm like, you know what? That's not enough to piss and moan about.
No, absolutely. There's ones where I don't necessarily agree with the rankings, but I don't think there's ever been anything where I really want to argue it out with someone. And even just before, when we were talking about various episodes where I thought I'd given different rankings than I actually did, I'm trusting those opinions at the time.
Yeah. And again, from memory, none of those were off by more than one ranking mark anyway.
Yeah.
Like, there's surprises like Treehouse of Horror 7, where that was all silver, where I'm like, well, maybe I was being a bit harsh on it at the time. But again, I would say no better than a gold. And so silver's fine. And then with Simple Simpson, where that was, cubic, gold, and 2 silvers, like, that becomes a weird fucking spectrum of opinion on that episode. But that's kind of the charm of the panel. And that it's not entirely up to me what an episode gets, or up to you, or like any of us, really.
Well, not without bribery.
No. We're obligated to our own opinions until money's involved. But, I mean, also, look, the podcast is already going to take 4 years minimum at our current rate, and it's like every episode that we review is an episode that we could have reviewed something else.
Yeah, I see no value in going back. I'm happy with all the things I've said.
Yeah, I mean...
Even those ones with controversial and... terrible.
But having said that, like, my small list of controversial episodes, if you think of any other ones, but yeah, Look Who's Coming to Criticize Dinner. That was one got gold, silver, bronze ranking.
Yeah, the one where Homer's a food critic. I remember that very fondly. I haven't seen it for years, but I am surprised when I heard it got those harsher rankings.
Yeah, and I think it was just in comparison to other more classic episodes, it's not as strong. It's a bit more sketchy and a bit, but God,
but he can hear pudding.
For that line alone, I almost gave it a cubic. But again, it averages out to a silver, and I'm like, fair.
That's a good score still.
Simpsorama, I honestly don't know how that got bronze rating, but Shag had his reasons.
Yeah. So what was that? Participant failure from you, participant from me, bronze from Shag.
Yeah.
It's how we felt about the episode. I remember it not being as awful as it could have been. So that's surprising unto itself. But
yeah, and I think I was a bit harsher on it because it did nothing to help either show.
No, and we miss Futurama every day. So.
Yeah. You know, and we're going to do this episode in the future, the Family Guy crossover. It's not an episode of The Simpsons, but I think it's important to show how a potentially disastrous crossover with two shows that are well over the hedge, two shows that are well past their prime, managed to come together for a double episode, which was great. Like,
great is very generous. I would say it's the best they were ever going to do.
Yeah.
It's the best version of what it could possibly be.
Yeah.
How good it actually is, I scarcely remember it, but whatever. We'll get there.
We have a letter here from Ambassador Henry Mwambe Tuba of the Ivory Coast, and he writes, I'm a big fan of your podcast, but would you do any other indexes? Maybe because, a lot of other shows would be a lot shorter to do.
Yeah.
It'd be less than a year obligation if we did this format with other shows. So maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. The thing is, because The Simpsons has been on for so long, it has such a legacy and such a variety to its quality.
Yeah.
There's a lot more merit in trying to categorize the best of the best, the good, the bad, the okay, the really bad. Other shows that, something like, we've talked about doing a Rick and Morty one, but those are all pretty damn good.
At worst, their episodes would be silver.
I feel like, yeah, probably. I mean, who knows? Seinfeld as well. We've joked about doing that one. It'd be fun. I feel like that's also going to be only towards the end is it really going to. They're bad seasons, or maybe their last 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And they're not bad then. They're
just different.
Yeah, they're just not as good, not as crisp. But they're still, you wouldn't get that variety of just how from phenomenally great, fantastic, groundbreaking television to utter garbage. It's just not there. Whereas in The Simpsons, we have that. So
and see, that's sort of, you're hitting on a good point, because if it was like, personally, I'd love to do the Seinfeld, but again, it wouldn't really work in our format because of how much the continuity between episodes they have, and that's sort of going to be a problem if you're going to do this with any sitcom, that you would more have to do it as a start to finish podcast, whereas ours, where we're picking 3 episodes decades apart. Different
format. We could definitely look into reviewing a different show, but it would need some changes for what we're currently doing.
Yeah. I sort of wrote down 4 categories. Personally, I'd love to do Seinfeld. Practically, for the audience out there, what show does need an index? I think South Park. But
that's another huge undertaking. I mean, they're not on
this. Yeah.
What? How many seasons are they up to?
They just finished their 20th.
Jeez, that's huge.
Also, they have half the length of their seasons. Most of their seasons are only 14 episodes, and the last 3 years have only been 10 episodes. So again, it's much more attainable. They haven't. I think they'll get to 300 episodes in maybe 4 years or something.
Well, and a big difficulty in that is a lot of it is more current event stuff.
Yeah, a lot. Some of it won't age well.
Yeah, won't age well just because the event has passed, or won't age well just because you'd have to research what was going on.
Yeah.
If you weren't aware of it when it happened, shit like that.
Yeah, like the whole Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman thing that they did, and they tied it into World War Z. I didn't watch World War Z. I didn't pay any attention to the George Zimmerman thing, and that episode was totally lost on me. Whereas, I saw critics saying, "Oh, this is a darling. What the show is breaking new ground." I was like, I don't think I laughed once in that episode, and it's kind of my fault for not being.
Well, it's satire, and satire doesn't make sense out of its context. So,
But also, South Park have a lot of continuity going on between the later seasons.
Oh, yeah, and I've heard they have full season story arcs and stuff, which is I definitely want to check out, but it's time.
But for personal and practical reasons, I'd love to do Futurama, because I think that does have the varying quality. But at worst, I'd say some of the Comedy Central episodes, especially seasons 7 and 8, at worst participant. I don't think there's any failures.
Yeah, I can't think of anything on that's garbage. There's definitely lackluster ones and ones that are just kind of so odd you don't know what to make of them. But, it's all pretty good.
Yeah.
That's why we love it so much.
Yeah, God, the only one that's coming to mind is the one where Bender is tries to go full legit with the folk singing, and then he has a 3D printer that he accidentally makes octopus monsters with.
Yeah, that one was odd.
And it's just odd because, it's doing this whole time travel things had already happened.
Yeah, and it's just changing gears really quickly because you're in folk, and then you got this time travel-y thing, and you got this 3D printing thing, and then it's... Yeah, it's a lot of things at once. You kind of sorry, what just happened?
And a wild card, I think even Claire talked about wanting to host this, doing an Adventure Time index, because...
Nice.
Especially now that they've got all the episodes on Stan, I started checking out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have to go home for sleep.
Well, see, here's the problem. I started watching some season 7, and it's fucking terrible.
I've heard bad things. I have picked up if there were... Someone put block episodes, so 4 episodes that all tie into the same theme. There's one... Something about Marceline and the Nightosphere, I forget. And there's another one which is Islands, which is where you find out where Finn came from. They were pretty good. They were a little bit different in tone.
Yeah.
Still good, but I could see where there was definitely a difference, you know.
Yeah.
But it also goes some amazingly deep places.
Well, yeah, season 5 and 6 I love for that because it didn't feel as crazy and haphazard as the earlier seasons, and they were really going deep around the time when Jake had the puppies and things like that.
Well, not only that, there's I think it's Gouliad. So, you know, Princess Bubblegum.
Oh,
Cut all this if you want. But yeah, where Princess Bubblegum makes a guardian, but it doesn't see why it needs to be a guardian. And there's this great bit where she's explaining, look, the bee takes the pollen from the flower and it doesn't hurt the flower when it does it, so they can both exist together. And the Gouliad just goes, yeah, but bee needs the pollen, and if it was going to hurt the flower by taking it, it would do it anyway. It's like, oh shit, life metaphor.
And yeah, people are much happier when they're controlled. Like, look at them. There's no fussing, no fighting, no resistance.
Yeah, that's a very heavy concept.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to talk about was probably just more Adventure Time.
Yeah.
It's really heavy, but it also gets in my head and is a weirdly peppy, sad song of babies building a tower into space. Space is where he's gonna find his dad. Daddy's got an arm, and baby's gonna harm him and take his arm. I can't remember how it goes.
Yeah.
But every now and then,
is that the one where he's using his mind to,
build a tower into space because his dad ripped his arm off.
That's right.
It's crazy, but it's a show that really gets some interesting places.
Yeah, and also like has interesting small amounts of continuity as well, like the saga with the leaf blade and his arm growing back and all that sort of stuff. Like, and all like the Prismo episodes as well. Oh, it's so good in the early days, but honestly, it did take me a while to get into it.
It's an odd show, but there's a lovely just amount of depth that you get these brief glimpses of. What I do like is it feels like that depth was always there. They didn't suddenly shove it in.
No, like it happens gradually because I started from season 1, which I think is actually a mistake. I reckon like you should come back to season 1, start on season 2 or something.
That's probably fair when they've got a bit more grounding and know what they're doing a bit more.
Yeah, because those are the episodes that interest me, whereas I go back to season 1 as more of a novelty.
When it's just a little bit more completely separated episodes. But yeah, I think from the very beginning there was a very realized world. They knew what had happened, what everything was, what's going on. And so you get glimpses of that as you go through, and then later on you find out how serious it all is. And very cool. I like that.
And and what a way to do it. They just have these colourful characters, but it's all in the setting of a post-apocalypse. So it just, it does make way for those really deep, dark tales. And oh god, everything with the Lich as well. And
the Lich is very good.
Yeah, and also being very whimsical and silly at the same time. Like, teaching lessons about friendship. Fuck, it's a good show.
It's a good show.
But the later episodes get very ham-fisted.
I'm just trying to think of anything indexes I would want to do outside of Seinfeld and Adventure Time, Futurama. Maybe an X-Files index. That could be fun. That also varies greatly.
Index Files.
The Index Files. That's not bad. Not even a bad name. The Index Files. That'd be cool. There's also a real... I love crappy late-night TV. Like, growing up, my favorites were something like... My favorite was Chronicle News from the Front, which was like rejected X-Files episodes. It's like they're making this... It's about these people who write for this, tabloid magazine about, moon men found underneath New York and that kind of thing. Except they actually do it, and so they go to like haunted malls and stuff. And it's like garbage, but I'd love to do that just to talk about it because it's beautiful garbage. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. At some point, I want to index the Tracy Ullman shorts as well.
No, that's fair. We should do those.
I'm pretty sure they're on YouTube for free.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely find it somewhere. It's like, you know what? If we're going to do the Simpsons index, do all of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
We haven't talked about maybe trying to Twitch the video games or something.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to do that. Yeah, maybe one day up at Cafe 1984 up the road on King Street. By the way, go there. Their Buddha Bowl is fucking delicious and healthy for you too. But yeah, they've got the Simpsons arcade, the 4-player cabinet there. And yeah, I'd love to do a live stream from there and just use their cabinet.
Yeah. So you got the cabinet game, you've got Bart's Nightmare, you've got Simpsons Hit and Run, and there's probably like dozens more we don't even think of.
There's the Simpsons game, but it's okay, but it just suffers a lot of clunky 3D platforming problems that a lot of those licensed from property 3D platform games did at the time.
Sure.
There was also Simpsons Road Rage, but that got surpassed by Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yep.
There was a wrestling game which is borderline unplayable. Like, I think that'd be fun from like an E.T. the Atari game perspective.
Yeah,
where,
rage play.
yeah. Yeah, you're fighting the controls.
We could do Ken Burns' Jazz.
The Jazz Index.
Community, but I feel like that's fresh enough in people's minds. That's the thing, if you want to know how good Community is, just watch it all.
Yeah, it's only
It's not
6
hard.
seasons. They haven't even done the movie yet.
Yeah.
Actually, Community would be an interesting one.
I think so. Like, just to really pull apart what goes wrong, because it's very famous. Well, Dan Harmon is kicked off, but
Yeah.
even then, I think even when he comes back and fixes a lot of it, it's not as good. And there's something that just gets lost in the fact that there was a limit to how much that show could do.
Yeah.
Just because they're always tied to the school, and they're always tied. There's just a point where you can't do anything anymore.
And I like how I think it was the final episode where Jeff has a vision of what his life would be if he stayed there with, like, the group becomes him, Gareth, Leonard, Vicky with, yellow shirt? What's her character defining traits? Nothing. And, like, that's it. Like, and magnitude. Yeah. Like, it's like, yeah, that's where it's going if you do season 8. So
yeah, exactly. And not only that, was just like the number of times they did a Jeff learns that Greendale really is the place he needs to be. They did that like 7 times. Like, that was the entire point of season 1.
Yeah.
But then they still did it a bunch more times. Obviously, yeah. I think it's a victim of its problems. But even then, there was only a certain amount you could do with the concept.
Yeah.
I mean, the great episodes are great. The first 3 seasons are just brilliant stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Like, some people sort of dispute season 3, but I like, they were doing a lot more high concept episodes in that one. But I think even if you're going to say that's where they hit critical mass, I think that was still
still worth watching.
And if for nothing else, then return to Castle Hawthorne, the video game episode. That is just brilliant.
That's a great episode.
Brilliant execution of concept.
Mm-hmm. We talk about 30 Rock a lot. Again, same deal.
Yeah.
I think, you've got a slight incline up to greatness, and then after that, a slight but still fair decline. It ended well, but it was also clearly time to end.
Yeah, but in that final season, maybe final 2 seasons, I feel like that was them doing a victory lap.
Pretty much, but that's fair enough.
Where, like, yeah, the comedian comes back out after fucking nailing the show, and he's like, I have to do this. Just runs up and down the aisles high-fiving people.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you know what? A couple of episodes of that were totally earned.
Yeah, because, I mean, you're watching the last season, you're already a fan, you want to be high-fived.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, what else besides The Simpsons do you like as well? The audience out there doesn't really hear what we watching that's not The Simpsons.
I'm trying to think of stuff like I've got most everything of.
I recently rewatched Horace and Pete, Louis C.K.'s show.
I'm still only half. I keep forgetting about that because
it's a fucking heavy watch, man. It's
it is great from what I've seen, but you have to be ready to be a little bit depressed.
Yeah. No, it's just seasonal effective to sort of just hit me at the right time.
Oh, BoJack! How the fuck have we not mentioned BoJack Horseman?
Oh, yeah, another one where we'd just be gushing over it.
It's an amazingly good show. Season 3 just floored me. It was great.
And yeah, kind of similar to Adventure Time, where it sort of starts out really silly and then just keeps introducing these underlying darkness in the universe, and you find yourself being feeling for an anthropomorphic horseman. Like, yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, and like by the end of season 1, you've got that. It's really heavy, and you just love it. It's great.
Yeah, and you're forgetting that these characters are all different animals that are like not addressing the fact that
the animal thing is there for the occasional sight gag, and that's more or less it. So
yeah, and it sort of stylizes the show a bit as well. Like, and
what else would I do? I love Battlestar Galactica, the remake series.
Yep.
A bit more cult TV. I actually really like the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Season 2 especially. Season 1's a bit of a wank, but Season 2 is really good. But I'm a big Terminator fan, so I just do the Terminator Index.
Yep.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah. I went through a bit of a binge 3 years ago watching a bunch of Twilight Zones on YouTube. I'd recommend anyone do it.
Yeah.
Like, find a list where someone's made, like, what are the 20 best Twilight Zones and just go off that. Like,
it is very hit and miss, and you get some that are much more kind of sentimental and cute,
yeah,
than creepy or weird or out there. But and of course, it's also got very 1950s sci-fi things where aliens have 3 eyes and 6 ears and stuff like that.
And you can see the tearing of the seams on it, all this stuff.
Like that's not an eye. That's just silly putty you've got stuck to your head.
But there's a certain cuteness with that too.
Yeah, exactly.
I really enjoyed Black Mirror.
I've still only seen the first. I love the first episode, but I've never got. Again, I'm not ready for that heaviness of a show when I go to watch something.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Season 1 and 2 were all very pessimistic stories, but season 3, I feel like they get a better balance of maybe those more episodes with good endings, happy endings.
That's nice.
Yeah, but it's a heavy show. Like you got to be in the mood for it.
Absolutely. I'm a big Doctor Who fan.
Yep.
I have issues.
Doctor Who Index will take 40 years to do.
Well, no, just do the more recent seasons.
Yeah.
But even then, they're up to... I looked and they're like at 116 episodes. I'm like, that's a lot more than I realized. But then I'm like, oh yeah, 10 seasons. Okay, fine.
Here Peter Capaldi's killing it.
He's doing well, yeah. He's leaving after this season, though, which is fair enough. That's about enough time.
I think that's the right shelf life for a Doctor.
Pretty much 3-4 seasons is about right.
What do you reckon about the rumor of Tilda Swinton stepping in?
It's one of those things. Okay, I'm gonna have to fully explain this because I've thought of this myself. My problem with that is I feel like the people calling for a female Doctor Who don't actually want it. They just want to see if they'll do it. And so my issue with that becomes you're just adhering to what people are yelling at you. You're not actually doing it because it's going to be good for the show or because, and I'm not saying if they have a female Doctor, I will happily watch that series. That's fine. It's just, I feel like no one actually wants it. They just want to see if it's going to happen.
Sure.
And there's so rarely elements of gender or sexuality in it that I feel like it's kind of a pointless thing. To that merit, because it's kind of a pointless thing, it doesn't matter if, the Doctor does become a woman. And they have, last season, they did set that up in continuity where you see a Time Lord regenerate, and it regenerates from a white man into a black woman. Actually, no, I think it's a white woman into a black man. So they've established that can happen.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's kind of like a pandering thing.
Yeah.
So also, I feel like Tilda Swinton's probably too big of an actor for the role.
That's what I thought.
So I feel like she might be flattered and maybe even interested, but probably doing other shit.
Yeah. No, I think they'd honestly have more luck getting Catherine Tate to come back and be the Doctor.
Which would be great. Continuity-wise, it wouldn't make any sense why the Doctor would morph it to regenerate into someone he already knew. But you could probably dream up something like, he touched something she left behind in the TARDIS when he was regenerating and that left a genetic imprint. You could do it. It's science fiction. And even then, it's wobbly science fiction. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it might even make way for an interesting story where she's... there's a part of her still in there and she's breaking out of... So I don't know. I don't watch Doctor Who. I watched a handful of David Tennant episodes following Jessica Jones because... that series floored me.
Jessica Jones is really good. And Tennant in it, really good as well.
Absolutely. And season 1 and first half of 2 of Daredevil, fantastic. Luke Cage was okay. I've heard really bad things about Iron Fist,
I have
though.
As well. I've heard incredibly average things that make people angry because they're so painfully average. Yeah.
So yeah, I really am trying to be influenced by reviews less, but honestly... I wasn't that thrilled about Iron Fist coming into it, so I think I'm going to give it a miss and sort of just skip to Defenders.
Defenders, I'm very interested to see how that works out. Good luck to them.
Well, yeah, because they've got to do a lot of character service, because it's not just the 4 of them. They've each sort of built up characters in their world, and you got this running thing with Rosario Dawson in it, who's fucking fantastic across the board.
Really pulling a lot of good vibes there.
But yeah, I mean, Daredevil was better from an action show sort of perspective, but I thought Jessica Jones just really hit on some really important social issues as well.
Really, really good. And I mean, to have your metaphor subtext be about an abusive relationship is heavy, but fantastically well done. And I feel bad for whoever's writing season 2 because you're not going to have David Tennant for starters. Yeah. And you're not going to be able to run that same really heavy undercurrent.
And that's why I thought I mean the whole series season was great, but the final episode did feel a bit underwhelming because everything that was leading up to that moment was so brilliant that how could you?
You got yourself into a corner where no matter what you do, some people aren't going to be satisfied with it. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I guess that's just sort of TV shows we like and we recommend you go check
also,
out.
Ash vs. Evil Dead, I would do that because I love Evil Dead.
Which is sort of good based on all this. It's sort of like you've mentioned a few TV shows based on movies, and usually that doesn't work out so well, but for Terminator and...
Ash vs. Evil Dead?
Yes.
Again, Terminator is a bit hit and miss, but it really hits its stride in season 2. And Ash vs. Evil Dead just understood... It got the original creators back, so they helped them get the right tone.
Yeah.
And that would have make or break it. Made or broke it.
It doesn't feel like a fluid saying when you put it in the past tense.
I know. That's very make or break for it, essentially.
Also, there's sort of an initiative going on amongst podcasts at the moment. The hashtag tripod. Look, it's a little whatever, but it's basically just an initiative for podcasters to recommend their favorite podcasts,
nice.
and on Twitter using the hashtag. So, yeah, I've mentioned it, worst episode ever a good million times already.
That's
so,
true, I've been counting.
What about you, Beach? What podcasts are you listening to at the moment?
Podcasts? Okay, I recommend listening to... Okay, we'll start with the... Where do I start here? You know what? They're all D&D podcasts. Okay, first of all, there's Sans Pants Radio. Now, they do a variety of stuff. Their main thing that got me into them was D&D is for nerds, because they are bad players and it's hilarious. They're funny people. It's a great show. It's, a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to get into, little half-hour episodes.
Yeah.
And they just kind of... They're funny people to begin with, and then they're kind of just bad at the game, so it's really funny. But they've also got Movie Maintenance, where they talk through movies and how they'd fix that up, and a bunch of other shows I haven't got around to checking out yet. So they're a podcast network, well worth checking out. I highly recommend them. I have subscribed to their Patreon because I like their stuff and I want to support them doing it. So.
Oh, wow. So Sans Pants have a Patreon, you say?
Yes, they do.
Go check that out. Donate. Give them money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what else are you listening to?
I also listen to Acquisitions Incorporated from Penny Arcade.
Yep.
So they started off being just a podcast, and they eventually moved to live shows, which are available on YouTube through Penny Arcade and also through Dungeons & Dragons, because it's actually run by Chris Perkins, who wrote 4th edition and writes all the storylines for 5th edition, and it's just a great DM, and seems like a very chill dude. So Acquisition Incorporated, little still hilarious because they're funny guys, a little more story-driven and character-driven, but great fun. And yeah, when they get to some of the live shows, there's some amazing stuff. Like, they have a guy called the Czar of Happiness who makes their props, and he makes some amazing sets. It's brilliant.
Oh, so they're a video podcast as well.
Yeah, they eventually went to live shows during the PAX exhibitions.
Yeah.
And so they're available on YouTube. You can watch them for free. I recommend... See, anything I get interested, I go right back to the beginning. Yeah. Because I have mixed feelings on Harmontown, but I went back to the beginning and started listening from episode 1 for that. It's just what I do. So I went back to Acquisitions Incorporated 1. Just start listening from there. If you want to just check out the YouTube stuff, type in Acquisitions Incorporated. I can't remember what year it is. That one of their best is called Dragons Over Easy. It's just great. They get guest stars and stuff.
And conversely to that, it's mixed results, but ultimately I'd say yes to Harmontown.
I would. It's just Dan Harmon is an interesting person, and sometimes he will kind of piss you off.
Yeah, it's very much a roll of the D&D dice, man. Sometimes you roll crit fails.
Speaking of which, again, it's not a podcast, but I'm going to plug it anyway. It's a show called Critical Role from Geek and Sundry. They currently run it on Twitch. You can check them out on YouTube. Yep. This is a much more serious, heavily character-driven Dungeons & Dragons not podcast. I'm going to use the term podcast. They do it live or visual. But being the fact that it's Dungeons & Dragons, you can pretty much... I listen to it as podcasts. There's only been occasions when I've been like, I'm going to go back and check out what they're talking about at this point. Yep. There's a few visual things. But yeah, highly recommend that. Very character-driven, but you fall in love with these characters and you get worried when they might die. But there's already a huge community built around it and stuff. Critical Role, highly recommend.
Cool.
And yeah.
Well, yeah, I used to love a podcast on the Geek and Sundry network called Nerd of Mouth, but that's over now.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I'm just looking through my podcast, Pockets Full of Soup, hosted by former
That's a great title.
Isn't it just? It's just an interview show hosted by former IGN editor Jared Petty. He's just a super sweet, calming voice that I almost just listen to this podcast for the ASMR quality of his vocal delivery.
Feels like your brain's being swaddled.
Yeah, and he's so delighted with the simple things in life. Hence pocket full of soup, and someone asks you, what a ridiculous title, and he's like, I know, but soup is so comforting, you know, when you just get it, the nice combination of a good broth, and like, I'm just, golden voice. And he mostly interviews IGN guys and people in the video game journalism
that's his
industry.
wheelhouse,
But I mean, he has great conversations. And anything else you're listening to?
Those are my main ones. Lot of D&D stuff.
Yeah, I occasionally tune into Infinite Monkey Cage. A lot of it goes over my head. That's Brian Cox's podcast. Right. Very smart stuff. In Situ Science, a friend of ours, James, hosts that one. In Situ Science, he's actually the one that got me onto the Podbean network. So
nice.
Thanks, James.
Mm-hmm.
Story Club podcast, I love that. That's just 10-minute episodes of comedians telling short stories.
Nice.
At the Giant Dwarf Comedy Theatre, so they do a live show there. 90s Percentile, which is one from the Worst Episode Ever guys, where they talk about all things 90s.
Nice.
Love Nintendo Voice Chat, more IGN podcasts, IGN Australia's Pubcast as well. Yeah, so there's a whole handful of podcasts. I'm actually surprised at how many I listen to.
That's two fistfuls.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that being said, I don't listen to every episode of everything. Like,
true, whereas I do.
Yeah.
I'm a completionist.
So just before we end the episode, we've been spending the last half an hour talking about things that we like and other people's shit that we want to promote, but let's quickly talk about some of our shit.
Yeah.
So coming up soon, we actually go into production this Saturday for our new radio play series, which you wrote, Beej.
Yeah.
Called Pulp Fury Radio.
Mm-hmm. It's a series of basically, radio plays. What I'm trying to think of a better name. I think pod play is probably the best idea I have so far, because it's not on radio anymore.
Yeah.
Think it is the scripted version of podcasting, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we've got a bunch of different genres. It'll be a different story each time. A little bit Twilight Zone-y in that sense. So we got some mystery in there. We got some horror. We got some comedy. A little bit of magic.
Yep.
And really looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a bit early days yet. Like I said, we're only just going to record our first episode this week. But
no idea how that's going to go. So that'll be interesting.
But no, we're just flying by the seat of our pants on this one. And Beej wrote it. It's going to direct it. I'm producing it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this comes out as well.
Yeah, me too. I'm also shit my pants scared about it, but because it's very uncharted territory. We don't know how this is going to fit together. Yeah,
but I mean, we got some amazing voice talent attached to it, and like it's always reassuring when you can get other people to jump on board.
Yeah, it's always good when talented people say, "Oh, I really like this," and you're like, I can't tell if you're just saying that.
What do you want from me?
Or if you're genuinely excited. But again, I'm feeling some genuine excitement. So it should be fun. And if nothing else, it'll be fun to at least find out how it goes.
Yeah. So we'll definitely provide all you guys out there with updates when it is closer to being released and all that.
Which is probably months away.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Look, if you live in the Sydney area, we're still producing more of these things. We've got details on the website, which is
pulpfuryradio.com.
Convenient. So you can check on the website. We've got like audition notices and as we just said, each one of these stories is going to be a different scene.
Yep.
So we're going to need more actors down the line.
You can check out synopsis of the 6 planned episodes.
Yeah, and especially we're looking for diverse accents. We've got stories set in America, England, Australia, and so we need a variety of people. So
the more variety one person can give, the more we can use them. So
yeah. And also, we produced a web series which was released practically 1 year ago to the day. And it's called Dave Plus One. You can check that out at daveplusone.com or on YouTube.
Dave Plus One on YouTube, yep.
Twitter _Dave Plus One. Some bastard already got at Dave Plus One. So we have to have at _Dave Plus One. Bastards.
Who the hell did that?
Dave.
God damn you, Dave. And you're plus one.
But yeah, like we absolutely had a blast making Dave Plus One, and like we had some really, really talented actors.
Yeah, that's been the only thing where I've worked 16 hours for free and been thrilled about it.
Yeah. Oh, after each film shoot day was just bliss, and I am amazed that we got it done in like 9 days.
Yeah,
like
because we optimistically at the first thought we would get it done in 7, maybe 8. I'm like, no, it was 9 in the end, which is amazing. Well, we just worked with some people who were shockingly dedicated to something they weren't getting paid for. That was our first production.
Yeah.
They were fantastic to work with. They put in such hard work and long hours. I'm amazed. Our cast was brilliant.
And, you know, we got a variety of people. Wasn't just the actors, you know. Had a couple of people working behind the scenes. And, especially Julia Wilson. She's got a podcast as well with Mick Meredith. It's fucking hoot. Go check that one out too.
Do you know what it's called?
Unhinged Uncast. And yeah, it's just them shooting the shit. Couple of really talented comedians, and and our production crew was amazing. Our makeup artists, like incredible fucking talent that they had, and then after the filming, we had a few days in the studio where we were writing all the incidental music with music producer Ryan Casey, who was just amazing.
Yeah, great
Did some
to work
amazing work, and
took our very vague ideas for shit and made it into actual tracks. It was great.
But yeah, Dave Plus One, we wholly recommend checking it out because we did it and we loved it. We're proud of it.
My only concession, I think episode 1's a bit slower than it should be.
Yeah.
But it hits straight after that.
So yeah, and in future, we've got an episode planned with Phil Calloway, who directed Dave Plus One and wrote it with you. Mm-hmm. And we've also got Ben Hamilton, who played Wade in the series.
Yep.
I forgot his name for a moment there.
It's the same name.
His name is Benjamin Hamilton. Just you wait. Oh yeah, go check out Hamilton too.
I feel like Hamilton doesn't need the plug.
If you got to spare $400.
Can we get a quick little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Just before we close out, back to Simpsons very quickly. Of the episodes we've reviewed, we've talked about our most hated ones. What are your favorites?
Oh, cool.
Just however many you want to put in your top tier, I suppose.
I want to say that this sort of makes me think of the ones that I didn't think would floor me as much as they did, like the Hellfish episode.
Yep.
I always remember that being great, but wow.
Yeah, watching that one critically, that was one of the first ones I wrote down. It's amazing. It's hilariously funny. It's a great adventure. You get some great heart between Bart and Grandpa. It's an amazing episode.
Yeah, Mr. Plow as well. Like, I am surprised. Like, before we watched it, I'm like, oh, Mr. Plow, that's probably a gold. You know, it's probably going to be a bit gimmicky around the whole Mr. Plow. But no, it is consistently funny. Story just rolls out so perfectly.
Yeah, we're currently in sync here. That's the third one I wrote down.
Oh, really? What was the other one you wrote down?
Last one I wrote down was Homer at Bat.
Yeah, again,
we were talking in our review of it. We talk about how we don't even know who these players are. This is still hilarious. It's really tightly well packed. It's one of my go-tos when we're talking about pacing. Of starts with Homer eating a donut. He starts choking. Everyone is looking at everything else on the notice board other than the Heimlich maneuver, and then just goes, softball, and boom, you're into the episode, and it just rockets straight ahead with just joke after joke. It's well structured. It's hilarious.
And did a near impossible task of having, 9 or 10 guest stars that they all gave some sort of character service to, all felt inherent to the plot, and still had time for quick little bits from the Simpson family. None of them were totally neglected, and an episode packed with great Burnsians.
Not once, not twice, but thrice.
Lisa the Beauty Queen was another surprise. I didn't expect that to be as good.
Yeah, that one was fantastic.
And Monorail, I stand by it as a cubic, but it's, in retrospect, it's a bit silly. Like, there's a lot of fantastical elements to that episode.
I didn't watch that one for the review, so because it's such a different lens to watch something with, I'm not going to comment on that one. Obviously, it's iconic as hell. But
other favorites, Treehouse of Horror 4. Fucking wow.
Which one's that?
Ned Flanders, Devil, Gremlin on the side of the bus, and we just threw something together with vampires.
The Night Museum one, yeah. They're dogs, and they're playing poker.
Grandpa versus Sexual Inadequacy as well was another surprise hit for me, because it's another one where it does something that I think is a bad thing about New Simpsons, is that each act is its own story. There's a different thing going on in each act, but they fucking nailed
Well,
it.
it all has the same through line, but yeah, it's hilarious.
Any other ones that spring to mind?
Those are my three top. Grandpa and the Curse of the Flying Hellfish, Homer at Bat, and Mr. Plow. I think are my three top favorites. If I had to pick one of those, it's between Hellfish and Homer at Bat. God, because one's just a great adventure, and the other one is just like it's an adventure, but it's like a small town adventure. You know, it's just a man playing softball. But I think I probably had more fun watching Hellfish.
Yeah.
They're both great, hilarious episodes, but I think Flying Hellfish, you've got an adventure on top of being a tightly packed, hilarious episode.
Yeah.
So, I think that's my favorite.
Cape Fear is another one that...
How the fuck did I forget Cape Fear?
Well, yeah, we did it for episode 2, and it was only the two of us for that one.
Yeah, so good.
And it kind of, like, now that I think about it, probably a bit unceremonious for that episode. Like, that would have been one where we should have had 4 people all fucking,
Just jizzing themselves over.
Yeah, it is a jizz yourself episode.
It's great. I'm still saying Hellfish might be my favorite.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Out of all the episodes that we've done, like...
I mean, I know there's more to come. They're going to be obviously great. Opinions will change, but we'll do another one of these in 100 episodes' time.
Yep. Stay tuned for episode 60...
Stop doing that.
72 would be about when we'd do it again. Yeah, I still don't think we've hit my favorite episodes yet. Like...
Yeah, we haven't done Hank Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Sorry, you only moved twice.
Yeah.
Which...
They know what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, ones that we're looking forward to. Radioactive Man as well. I fucking can't wait to do that one.
I'm definitely pumped for that.
Lisa's Wedding, I feel like, will hold up pretty well. Bart versus Australia, like...
That's going to be a fun one.
But again, I don't know if that's like going to be top 3 episode sort of material. It may be a cubic, but part of it's because we have a bit of nostalgia and
don't think
relatability.
I think it'll be gold.
Yeah.
That's me.
Green and gold, mate. Bart the Fink, where he rats out Krusty to the tax department. I think
it's too hot today.
Yeah, and that's one as well that had a lot cut from the syndication, so that'll be good to talk about all that stuff as well.
Nice. Itchy and Scratchy World, that'd be fun.
Yeah, Itchy and Scratchy Land, yeah, that's and the Chester J. Lampwick guy who drew Itchy, which I revisited that one recently, and like it was just such a smart choice to have him just have Itchy. Like it's such a weird quirk to the whole story that he invented the mouse part of the thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, we'll get there.
But from the teens as well, like there's some bad ones I'm looking forward to from the teens of the HA episodes. I really want to check out the Mel Gibson episode again soon. Like, I think that'll probably be the next one we do from season 11.
Yeah. I imagine it's going to be one of those ones where it's how much do you remove the art from the artist kind of questions.
Yeah.
I generally lean towards it's okay to remove them because something can still be good even if someone you don't like made it.
Yeah.
You know?
I saw someone on TV Fights make a valiant case for why the Cosby Show holds up despite everything, and they didn't win the TV Fights, but the host went, I don't agree with your opinion, but damn, do I respect you for having the balls to...
It's a tough thing. It's like, I'm not condoning what the actor has gone and done, but that the actor didn't make this thing themselves. It was all, there was a director, there was people writing the scripts, there were the other actors, and obviously it's going to be weird to enjoy, but depending on what, the controversy is, obviously.
I can't wait to do more of season 22 because that's when the show picked up again, I felt.
Nice. Comes out of the dark age.
That's right. They came out of the movie seasons. They had some halfway decent seasons of 19, 20, and 21, and then season 22 was like... I have like a mini spreadsheet that I've just written my opinions, so when we go to record the episodes, I still get the balance of episodes okay. And yeah, at least 3/4 of 22 was positive. But having said that, that's also the same season with like horrible episodes like The Blue and the Grey in it. So who knows? But I mean, sometimes I look forward to doing the bad episodes as well. Because
come on, we saw Power Rangers today, and before we went in, you said, are you ready to see a bad movie? And I'm like, fuck yes. When am I not?
Yeah, Power Rangers, no.
Yeah, boring.
Yeah. And yeah, I put up a tweet earlier. My review of the Power Rangers movie is, when are they going to get to the fireworks factory?
That'll be a fun episode, Poochie episode.
Yeah, well, yeah, saving that for the very last episode. My plan for that.
Oh, really?
For the final episode of The Simpsons Index, my plan is to do the final episode of The Simpsons. God willing, it's episode 650 and season 30. But going to do that, Behind the Laughter, and the Poochie episode. Cause,
all right.
Yeah, I think Behind the Laughter and the Poochie episode encapsulate The Simpsons having run for a long time. And
and the kind of comedy you mine from that.
Yeah. And while Behind the Laughter is a real departure from the show and may not hold up because behind the music isn't a thing and they don't like...
I don't know. I don't think that will be its failing because you've seen that kind of show even if you haven't seen Behind the Music. But I haven't seen Behind the Music. Well, I've seen a couple. But yeah, that sort of overhyped style of documentary telling where Weird Al's like relationship with his parents was played up for drama and like it's like I just got to become a vegetarian. They just didn't have to make me steak anymore. We're all happy with that transition. But then it shows a photo of Weird Al and steak and just smashes it with a hammer.
Yeah.
The drama.
But the steak was driven through the steak like a steak.
The stakes were so high.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. All right, cool. Well, anything else or?
How has the Simpsons Index changed your life?
It's given me something to do every week.
Nice.
As someone who's trying to get jobs in the entertainment industry, but very much being at the ground level and doing a lot of free shit and extras work and production running and all that sort of bullshit, you know. This has been good to help me stay on track. Keeping my goals clear and, you know, giving me something easy to do and put together and
fun.
Yeah, and fun. I do like.
Oh, the Germans take over the nuclear power plant. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
The land of chocolate. Sorry, I just popped into my head.
Another an episode 11.
Nice.
Recommended on the competition at simpsonsindex.com.
I want to watch that one.
Yeah. Yeah, you.
I understand podcasting a lot more now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great
fun.
to get into this world.
Yeah, and it's interesting to watch these things that I've watched 1,000 times in a critical lens.
Yeah.
And really kind of pick them apart and figure out what's going on and see new stuff and talk about them. It's all been good.
All right, cool. Well, that has been our no review episode of The Simpsons Index, and thank you for listening. And I'm your host, Elliot J. O'Neill.
Still BT Calloway.
And that's all the mustard in the house. Thank you for checking out the Simpsons Index podcast. Don't forget to go to www.thesimpsonsindex.com for the spreadsheet and information about upcoming episodes.